Alrighty, so back in November I made some cranberry juice out of cranberries that I got on sale. And all it was sugar, water, cranberries, and a water bath can. So I want to do the same thing with the grapes that I got on sale yesterday. I got 6 pounds for $10. So I'm going to walk you through that, but I'm going to show you what I have ready so far. I laid out my lids and rings. Now, I don't pre-soak my lids anymore. I used to, but it's really not necessary. We have hot water ready to put into the jars, and the water bath canner is getting up to temperature. It is really important that you don't put hot jars into cold water, so I'm trying to get that up to the same temperature. So basically, you could play around with the amount of sugar that you want to add to these. What I do is a cup of grapes and a half a cup of sugar. Back in November when I was doing the cranberry juice, I've done a couple different batches. I started with a cup of sugar and a cup of cranberries, and that was super sweet. So all we did was use it like concentrate and then added water to it when we drank it. So I found that this was the better mixture for us. The cup of cranberries to the half a cup of sugar. So hopefully that'll be the same with these grapes. Now we are going to fill our cups, or not our cups, our jars to the 1-inch head space. So on most jars, that's the bottom ring here. I am using regular mouth and wide mouth because that's what I had cleaned. And these jars were sterilized in the dishwasher overnight, so they were ready for me this morning. So I'm going to fill up one and then pause it, and I'll be back. All right, so I only prepared 7 jars because that's what my canner will hold. Now I'm going to go and mix it around. This will help get rid of any air bubbles and help dissolve that sugar a little bit. It's important that you dissolve those air bubbles when you're canning because you don't want that extra space to just kind of sit in there. You'll also be able to recheck the headspace as well. If you're thinking about getting into canning and you're nervous and of what to do, I really think this is a good recipe to start off and using your water bath canner. It's pretty simple, very minimal ingredients, and at the end, you know, if it doesn't seal, you could drink it up pretty quickly or just reprocess it. So I will be back in a sec. Okay, so now we need to make sure that our rims are nice and clean. So I'm going to take a paper towel and just wipe this off. I didn't use any greasy product or a lot of that, so I'm not using white vinegar today, but if I were, I would dip this paper towel in white vinegar and it will help make sure your rims are nice and clean. While you're doing this, you really want to make sure that you don't have any chips or cracks in the top either, which I'd already checked before I started filling them with grapes. Oops. Then we are going to put on our rings, our lids and rings. These are extremely hot, so just be careful. Don't burn yourself. I call them battle wounds. That does happen, so just be careful. Okay. And then I use these Dollar Tree paper towel holders to keep my rings organized. So I'm going to take those, put them on our jars, and make sure that they're finger tight. Now that all the rings are on, we are ready to set them in the canner. Also, when you're looking at your rings, you really want to make sure they're not dented or really rusted out either, because it will prevent seal issues. So look how beautiful that is going into the canner. Actually, I'm just going to use my hand. There's eye. Looks beautiful. The jars are down into the water, and it is really important that when you're water bath canning that you have about 1 inch of water above the lids, above the jar. So that's really hot. Don't touch it. And then what we're going to do is let that come up to a boil. Once it starts boiling, I will start a timer for 25 minutes based on my elevation. Okay, so it's been about 35 minutes. It boiled for 25, and then I've let it sit to kind of cool down for a minute before I open it. Now, it's still really hot, but I just like to let it sit before removing the jars. See all that steam? You want to be careful. Open the lid away from you so that steam does not get you. Oh, so I just realized that I forgot to add my white vinegar to the canner. So you see all of that white? That is actually just like the calcium buildup from our city water. So once the jars are fully cooled, I'll be able to take and clean that right off. So that is a little trick. If you put just a splash of white vinegar in your canner, that won't happen. So there you go. Look how beautiful it is though. So it will take about 4 to 6 weeks before it's really able to drink and you have really good grape juice. But look how pretty it is already. So excited. Okay, so that was 7 jars. Total, I'm going to end up with 14 jars. I did a little bit of math. I probably have $12 to $13 in this between the grapes. Sorry, that's my dog. He is not abused. He's just spoiled and thinks he has to be at my side at all times. So about $13, I'd say, between the grapes and sugar. So that equals out to be about 85 to 90 cents per jar. And I just looked it up on the Kroger app. 32 ounces of grape juice is anywhere from $4.50 to $5.99 a jar. So I'd say we're going to save a little bit of money. And I know exactly what's in these jars. Definitely follow me for more. Well, you've seen my husband's videos of the greenhouse, so we're preparing for our garden, and we do a lot of canning, so I'd love to share more. Thanks, guys.